Alright guys, Dokkan time. And today we're going to be doing a top 10 EZA TUR list. EZA TURs. True URs, whatever you want to call them. But this is I'm recording this during the Golden Week campaign and the Gohan, Goku, and GOTEN day. It's right after. It's literally GOTEN day today, and that's when I'm recording it. So if there's any new TUR EZAs coming in part 2, they're not being considered in this list. I'll make an updated list in a couple weeks if that happens. So let's just kind of jump right into the honorable mention. All right, we're going to go with the honorable mention before 10. So this is technically 11, but it's honorable mention. Dark Max King. So I feel like I really had to give this heroes unit something. You know, I mean, this dude is actually very, very good. Raise your hand if you've had an unit, EZA, and he's perfect on one specific team, and that's it. There's so many EZAs across the time of this game that have released where literally they are godlike on one specific team, and then everywhere else they're just kind of, okay. This would be one of those units where, yes, he can be good on select other teams, you know, depending on what else you have. But this guy really demands a Dragon Ball Heroes character unit with him at the same time. Unfortunately, with the way the content is these day and age, is that he can't necessarily be thrown into slot 1. You can put him in slot 1 like the first turn, like phase 1. But then after that, you know, he does he loses this 5-turn 150% defense after receiving an attack. And I really can't express just how much the combination of this 100% defense and guard, and then 150% extra defense after receiving an attack, just mixes together, and he just becomes like this crazy wall of defense. I don't even know how it works like exactly, but he just does so well. Especially post super. He just is very fantastic. He does okay damage, and he recovers. He greatly lowers the enemy's attack and defense. He's just really good, you know, on like Limit Breaker, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, or Vegito's team. And, you know, that's just kind of how it is. You know, he has the one team of basically you have to put him on Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker. I mean, obviously you can mix him with Rose's team, and you can try to mix him with Super Saiyan Vegeta's team. You could technically mix him on this team. You're just going to need another heroes unit to throw onto the team that can just be thrown onto the team and be kept onto rotation. It's either that or you have 3 floating heroes units, because as soon as you lose that guard from right here, he's just not that good anymore. But I feel like I had to give him the respect, especially with the recent Heroes news of Dragon Ball Heroes being canceled. Let's move on to number 10. Number 10 is going to be not Super Saiyan, but Future Gohan Intelligence. So he EZA'd back on Worldwide Download Celebration in September last year, 2023. It's been a hot minute. He's holding on. He's holding on pretty well. He's a pretty good unit. Just like Dark Mask King, though, he does have some weaknesses. Those weaknesses being, he needs Trunks. He absolutely needs Trunks. He really, especially after he transforms, he really wants Bond of Master and Student attacking in the same turn. I cannot express to you the difference you feel running a full Bond of Master and Disciple team and having Trunks on the same rotation with this Gohan constantly. He just feels like a different unit. He feels immensely better. The other issue is, like, I hate that he loses the... you lose a 50% support unit once he transforms. And the thing is that he just transforms automatically. If he didn't transform automatically, I would think about it a little differently. You know, I'd think he'd be a little bit better. Because then I can choose to keep the support. But because you can't choose to have the support other than just removing Trunks from the equation, it's just painful. So he's still very useful. He's still very good. Primarily on a Future or a Bond of Master and Student team. But yeah, That's why he's right there. He's very restricted. Same thing with him. So let's move on to number 9. And I'm sorry if you disagree. I'm sorry if you disagree. We'll get into nitty-gritty details after I've gone through all the units. And a lot of these placements can be switched back and forth depending on your own personal choice. So, Zamasu. Now, you'll notice a couple things here. You'll notice, one, I booted him up on screen as Fusion Zamasu. I did that because he's only starts becoming a real unit once this happens. Turn 1, Zamasu is poop. I'm sorry, he is. This 40% damage reduction doesn't even feel like anything. You don't even feel the 40% damage reduction here. You really don't. And it's because his defense is so low. I mean, literally all he has is defense plus 140%. And then he raises defense. Whoop-de-doo. He's got like, what, 400k defense? Start a turn at best. So, I mean, I really can't express how much he needs to stack. He needs to transform and really begin stacking severely. What really helps him be up on the list in general, and probably will stay on the top 10 list for a little bit, at least a little bit, is that he's AGL. And AGL typing is very good right now. You have several very difficult bosses in the game that you could partner this guy with the LR Fusion Zamasu, which is very nice how like switchy they can be. So the thing about the LR Fusion Zamasu is you want to put him into slot 2 if you're going into a long fight. Specifically after he loses all those the starting turns of damage reduction, because he tanks like virtually everything on the first like 2 appearances. And that gives this AGL Zamasu just enough time to really build up, have that 50% damage reduction, and be able to sit in slot 1 in place of him. So, I mean, paired up with him, he's good. But I'll be real, like, if you're not pairing him up with the Tech LR Fuse Zamasu, I mean, I don't know what you're doing. Like, there really isn't another option. You can't really just throw him onto the team because he wants to have the big bad bosses link. He demands the big bad bosses link and the fused fighter link to really give him that defensive buff that he does actually need right away. If he was greatly stacking attack and defense, I would place him up a whole nother placement at the very least. At least maybe another spot or 2. But because it's just a 20% increase on defense per super, and he has to be hit to get that extra additional in his passive, that's what holds him back. So, at least as of now, you know, of 9th anniversary and whatnot, you know, there's a lot of competition. So, he's still a very good unit, though, obviously. He's very good. But yeah. So, moving on to, what was that? 11, 10, 9. Moving on to the 8th placement. Yes, I know. Please don't shoot the mesh. Don't attack me. Don't attack me. I'm sorry. Don't attack me. Don't hurt me. Are you really gonna be surprised that I bring up this dude after we just got Fat Boo and Tech Exchange Boo and Majin Boo? I'm sorry. Something in my nose was killing me. Are you really going to, like, blame me after Majin Buu Saga just got a huge buff? You know, one of the best EZAs of all time just dropped, like, a week ago. I mean, one of the best leaders in the game. One of the best, like, teams in the game, period. I mean, you cannot discount this guy anymore. You can't. He's got a perfectly good team. He just got the Janemba treatment. Pretty much. When LR Final Form Cooler came out on Worldwide Download Celebration in 2022, LR Janemba got a new home. He got a new lease on life. Well, guess what? This guy's got a new lease on life. And all you gotta do is make it to whatever turn to transform. And here's the thing. You can easily kind of transform into Ultimate Gohan STR Buu because you just heal so bloody much. You have such tanky units now for this team that it's no longer really... I mean, it still is something you have to think about, but it's no longer a huge issue to get him to transform into this. You know, it's really not. It's not that much of an issue anymore. It still is something you have to think about. It is still can be difficult. I've already had a couple times where he's transformed into boo tanks. But the fact of the matter is that it's immensely easier to get to this point, and he is very good. He's still very, very, very good. Especially after he's additionaling several times and has big bad bosses activated. So, but moving on from, let's see here, what was that? So this is 11, 10, 9, 8. Moving on to the number 7 placement. Super Saiyan 3 Goku after he Super Extreme awakens. Now, until we get, like, I don't know, at least 8 more Super EZAs, I'm just going to pair up all the Super EZAs together with the normal EZAs. That's just how that's going to be. But this guy's very good still. I feel like I wanted him to be better. They really could have done better with this Goku. This is now the first Super EZA. He's very good. He's still, he's still very good. He's still very useful, especially on Global, because, Global's still stuck into the short-term content of challenging events. And he does very well in them. He's got a good, very high, I think he's got, what, a 60% chance to dodge, technically. He's hitting, like, 13 million attack stats if you got him paired up with the right partners. He can double, triple super. I mean, he does really good damage. He just does really well. He does really well in general. But the problem, obviously, that we all know is that once you eclipse that 7-turn point, he just falls off immensely. And if he doesn't dodge and you don't get this defense of 150%, then he's just really hurting. So he's got a lot of weaknesses, and he can cost you the whole fight, if you don't finish it quickly. Like, he really is the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. He really does have a time limit. He really does. Irony that he's not on time limit, which is stupid because he should be. Considering he has the over and a flash link. I feel like every unit that has over and a flash should be on time limit. It's over in a flash. Get it? Anyways. So, I mean, he's good. It's just he falls off very hard. He falls off very hard. Like, he doesn't get better. He gets worse as the fight goes on. Yeah. Anyways, he has a lot of good 200% leads in the game right now. I'm looking at his 200% leads, and I realize I gotta take that back a notch there. He's got 2. He's got 2 or 3. Maybe I should readjust that. Man, he's only got 2. Really? I just realized I have not been rocking him on 200% leads. Wow, he is actually pretty good. He's actually pretty good. He's actually very, very, very good unit. He's very good. He's very good. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the number 6 placement. Now, the number 6 placement, you could argue, should be higher or lower. Really just depends on your RNG. So, meet the Grim Reaper of Justice Gotenks. So, I like this unit. I love this unit when he originally released, like, way back in 2016. He was classified as a Neo God. And was he the Neo God, or was he just the God? No, he was just God Tanks. Yeah, we used to call this guy God Tanks back in the day. God Tanks. Not Go Tanks, God Tanks. That's just how good he was. Nowadays, getting that 11 key is difficult. It's painful. It doesn't feel fluid to get the 11 key. And I just really feel like if you don't get that 11 key, you're just really hurting. I mean, you obviously, you throw him on Topo's team on JP, you give him, like, absurd amounts of support with Ginyu. Yeah, of course, he can feel good, he can feel really good. But, if just because he's super good juiced up, like wanked up, it doesn't mean that he's good all the time. He's not having a stupid amount of additionals going off. He doesn't have an absurdly good high chance to be dodging. He doesn't do everything, And you have to hit the 11 key or else you're not getting the damage reduction. You're not getting the crit. And 50% dodge helps. But I really feel like he needs that 11 key consistently. It's just so RNG. It's just very RNGesus with this guy. I want to call him RN Gotenks or RN Gotenks. Yeah, RN Gotenks. That's what I want to call him. I want to call him RN Gotenks because if I don't get 11 key and he doesn't dodge, then I'm doomed. It's one of the two. So I like him still. I like him. He's on a lot of good teams, obviously. He's on Toppo's team. He's on Majin Buu Saga with the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. He's on the STR Super Saiyan 3 Goku's team. He's very good. He's still a very good unit. And he definitely eclipses a lot of these other units on this list because of how good he is. I have a lot of personal issues with him, but I do recognize that he is still good, and that's why he's so high up on this list. But I would never, in any form of the way, ever, would I ever, I'm sorry, people are going to be mad about this, but I would never put him above Super Vegeta. I just wouldn't. I just would not. I'm sorry, I wouldn't. And I wouldn't because he doesn't have guard. He doesn't have auto crits. He's not on Super Saiyan Vegeta's. I don't know. I have better consistency with this Vegeta than I have had with this Gotenks, and that's sad. But you know, it's all RNG. You know, I've had Vegeta tank more fights. I've had more use out of Vegeta in several events for like Extreme Z battles and whatnot. I've just had more use for him. Even before he EZA'd. Like before he EZA'd, he was still good. Because of the auto critting. The auto critting really went far. This dude hits like a truck. You know, maybe when I give him a little bit, maybe I give him a little bit too much credit because of Super Saiyan Vegeta being a thing. But I really cannot express how much I need this 11 key with Gotenks. I've just had such bad RNG with this Gotenks. I would not blame you if you put Vegeta below Gotenks. I would not blame you at all. I really wouldn't blame you at all. I just wouldn't. But I've just had such poor RNG with Gotenks, more so than I have with Super Vegeta, that I kind of just grade them up there right next to each other. Like, I really do. They both do crazy amounts of damage, and honestly, they both kind of tank similarly. He's got his guard with his built up in his passive, and then Gotenks has his 50% damage reduction. I mean, yeah, he pretty much has his 50% damage reduction or his dodge going off. It's one of the two. So, like looking on it, I'm like thinking maybe I should put Gotenks up. You know what? Maybe I should put Gotenks up at. Maybe I should put Gotenks at 5. I probably should put Gotenks at 5, shouldn't I? I probably should put him at 5. I don't know. I normally don't do this. Okay. Anyways, let's go to number 4. Let's go over to number 4. Number 4, once again, you might be surprised. This is technically my list, not the list of God. Kefla is number 4. And you're all probably wondering, why would you put Kefla there? And I'll be real with you. It's because I can hit like 20 plus the 30 mil super attacks. Like, she's just she is a lot of damage. She has a lot of damage, man. I mean, she has a lot of damage. She does a lot of damage, even when she's not on her own team. I mean, it does take a hot minute to get up to Super Saiyan 2. Actually, it really doesn't. Turn 3, she transforms into Super Saiyan Kefla. And then by turn 5, she's into Super Saiyan 2 Kefla, where she's got, what, let's see here. She's got a 50% chance to dodge, and just initially. She has built-in additional. She has 2 built-in additional, so she can quad super. she has what, a 70% chance to dodge? Because yeah, there's a 50, and then here's the 20 to add to that, so that's 70. And then she's also got the extra crit chance right here. I just, like, she just does so much damage. I really can't just tell you how much damage she does. Like, it's just raw damage that gets her up here. It really is. It's raw damage, and then the RNG of dodging, of course. But, you know, you're not arguing any differently with freaking Gotenks. Gotenks does the same thing. He does good damage. It's just that he doesn't have as high of a chance to dodge, and he doesn't do as much damage as Kefla. Kefla does more damage. You can bet your butt on that one. By the time you hit turn 6, yeah, turn 5 or 6, you're doing more damage with Kefla than you are with Gotenks. You are 100%, 100% you are. And there's another reason for that, because this guy only does like 1-2 supers if you haven't built like additional. But this girl, she triples, and then hidden potential can make her quad. So I mean, she's good. She's really good. JP players, I'm so sorry you cannot embrace how good she is. I'm sorry you can't understand it. But for us global players, man, she's just really good. She's really good. All right. With that, we'll go on to number 3. Is this Gotenks? Now, you're probably wondering, Joe, why in blazes would you put this Gotenks above this Kefla, but not this Gotenks over this Kefla? Well, it's because he does have a rough start. I will acknowledge. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, he's terrible turn 1." Yeah, okay, that's fine. So is several units in the game. He's terrible turn 3. Well, he's not amazing turn 3, or you know, he's not his second appearance, but he's still good. He's still greatly stacking his defense for 4 turns. He still has he's got built-in crit, he's got built-in additional, he's got built-in dodge, he's got a potential chance of freaking recovering HP. Let's see here, what are his leaders here? He's on Topo's, he's on Super Saiyan Vegeta's team, he's on Super Saiyan 3 Goku's team, and technically he's actually, I think he's 170% on Majin Buu's, Fat Buu's team. So I mean, him being on some of the best teams in the bloody game right now does help quite a bit. Not to mention the fact that as soon as he hits Super Saiyan 3, he's kind of in the similar range of Kefla, except with more team options and with more just with more options, more better link partners to choose from. Whereas Kefla, that is where her weakness lies, is that it's her link partners. You know, if we get an EZA for this tech, Kale and Khalifa that transform into this Kefla, if we get an EZA in a couple months, the STR Kefla, her stonks are going to go up. Her stonks are going to go up immensely, because then she has another option. She has another team that she can rock with on these 200%. Or even 170s, you know, you just have more options. So that is pretty much the argument there, is like he just has more options. He's just got more use. He's got more use than she does. I feel like you could potentially maybe flip-flop these two. You could potentially flip-flop these two's placement if you so chose to, but I think it's pretty... Gotenks is very good once he hits this point. Once he hits this point, he's very reliable. At least in my personal opinion. He feels very good at this point. But yeah. Not to mention Majin Buu Saga. Any Majin Buu Saga is just kind of like the best. Not the best, but very good right now. So. Now with number 2. Yes, I know. Y'all can yell at me. Yes. Throw fruit at me. Throw tomatoes. Please don't actually dislike the video. Please don't. Please just don't do that. He's very good. He is good. He's good. He's good. He's good. I love this guy. I love this guy. What I don't love is him getting 1 super and then 2 to 3 normals every turn for till turn 5 or 7. Yeah, it's happened. It's happened. If I recorded all of my freaking my runs, y'all would be disturbed at how bad my luck is. You would really. Anyways, my point is that this boy needs a little bit of RNG to really get those attacks on. You just have absurdly bad luck if this guy performs poorly for you. He's a throw on the team and he's good. And I say that because that's pretty much what you're doing. He's not even 100. He's not even 200% on Super Saiyan 3 AGL Angel Goku's team. He's only 200% on these teams. And honestly, that's part of why I don't have him at number 1 right now. I'll be real. This is part of why he's not number 1, is because he's stuck at 170%. You know, the global players, you're probably still rocking God Goku as a leader. Global players are still probably rocking a couple Ultimate Gohans. And on global, everybody's rocking Fat Boo. So, I mean, you know, you have Fat Boo as an option, but you don't link with Fat Boo. You don't have All in the Family going off. You don't have Brainiacs going off. You don't have Saiyan Lineage. Well, you might have Saiyan Lineage going off. You don't have Cold Judgment going off. You don't have Power Bestowed by God going off. You have Fierce Battle, Revival if you're linking him with Boo, and then you have Saiyan Lineage going off if you have him linked with Super Saiyan 3 Goku. But he's missing so many other links. This dude could be so much better if he just had the perfect partner and the perfect team, but he doesn't. And that's the annoying part. and the bad RNG that I have with him. That all being said, still, fantastic unit. When he stacks like crazy, he's got millions of defense. He tanks everything. He's doing absurd amounts of damage. He looks good doing it. I mean, he's definitely, arguably, the number 1 TUR right now. Or at least the number 1 TUR EZA, at the very least. And that's completely arguable, and that's fine. And that means you know who my number 1 is, and that would be this freaking Boo, this Tech Exchange Boo. I cannot express to you how much the 70% damage reduction just goes. It just does very well. I can't express to you how much the seal right here helps, the stacking of this, the damage, the dodge, and the fact that I can stay in this form and be fine. And he's just a crazy tank. And then when I transform him into this, he's doing 30 mil supers. I mean, he's got the crit built in. He's just tanking. I mean, you can't go wrong with him. He just plays himself. He plays himself. He's just that good. And what is one of the strongest teams in the game right now? Majin Buu Saga. Majin Buu Saga. He's paired with potentially one of the best TURs in the game right now, being Fat Buu. And then you got Buu tanks as an option. You have the STR Buu after he transforms as an option as a link partner. The LR Super Buu is still a very good unit to throw onto the team. I mean, Majins are good right now. Majin power is good. And this dude just makes the whole team feel crazy. I have a hard time, like, choosing what Majin is in slot 1 or 2. I really do, because they can all tank, they can all do damage, and it's just like, which one do I want to keep on the rotation to kick the enemy's butt? That's kind of what my issue is with that. But with Gohan, it's just like, you need to stay in slot 1, you need to stack, you need to not be removed from that placement. I don't want to float you. I don't want to even throw you in slot 2. I want you to stay in slot 1. I want you to stack eternally, and I want you to tank everything in slot 1. That's what I wanted to see out of Gohan. Now, don't get me wrong. Once Gohan transforms, it's Ultimate Gohan. After you've stacked for like 8+ turns, 7+ turns, you know, he can do some good damage. He can do like 15 to maybe 20 mil, depending on your stacks. You know, he's got the attacks effective against all types. And he performs a crit when you're facing one enemy if they have 58% or more health. But that's the thing, is that they have to have 58% or more health, or they have to be a Majin Buu Saga enemy. This goes away really fast. And once you lose that, you start really seeing how much less damage he does. And that's the other issue. Meanwhile, with Buu over here, I'm just collecting, you know, 2 or 3 two rainbow key spheres, and I have 50% chance to crit. I collect 3 rainbow key spheres, and I'm probably critting every time. So, and I guarantee you he's tanking just virtually everything in the game. You will take some damage, obviously, on some of the harder fights, you know, he gets hit with a 2.5 million super, you're going to take a little bit of excess damage, but not a lot. Not a lot. And you won't have to worry about stacks so much as you would with Ultimate Gohan. So, that's my reasoning for putting Buu above him. But I will take you to this tier list right here and say that, you know, the Z tier, you can flip-flop these. You can put Gohan up here and you can put Buu down here. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. If that's how your RNG has blessed you, then I am so happy for you. But my RNG does not bless me as much as others. My RNG is all over the place. And the same thing can be said with all of these. Like, Gotenks, like, in the middle of explaining this, my thoughts just felt like Gotenks is better than Vegeta. But at the same time, I've had so many consistent other times where Vegeta is just so godly with that auto crit and how much he can tank right away with little with like little issue. But Gotenks consistently, you see what I'm saying here? This is what I'm saying is like you can flip-flop their placements. I won't disagree with you. The same thing with this in Gotenks and Kefla. I can see the argument going back and forth easily. They both are, these two units, Gotenks and Kefla, they're so similar. They do crazy amount of additionals, they do crazy amounts of damage, they dodge, and they're both fusions. So, I mean, I get it. Yeah, I can definitely easily see which one would be above the other. And honestly, I would put Kefla above Gotenks if I could consistently have a perfect partner with her. She has a similar issue with what Z-Sword Gohan does, in that you're not getting all of her links off, so she can be better. She can be better. She can be better. You know, I mean, we're at the point on Global where we'd run double Kefla and obliterate the enemy. Because then you have double Universe 6, and Universe 6 can be solid. But you know, once 9th anniversary content gets here, we'll see how that goes. But yeah. And as far as everything on 7 and below, once again, the colors, you can flip-flop them. You can flip-flop these colors. You really can. I can understand why you would think Goku could even be below Zamasu. I mean, I can definitely see this. I can understand this. I really can. Consistency. He gets better as the fight goes on, not gets worse. Meanwhile, I personally, every time I'm using this Goku, it's because I want his damage, and I get his damage. And that's what I want out of him. They just have different, aspects of how you use them. And as far as STR Buu goes, I 100% understand if you want to drop him on the list. I understand it. I get it. But he's a Majin. And man, Majins are good right now. Majins are good right now, man. They are so good. And as far as the 10th placement goes, I will acknowledge 17. I will acknowledge 17, that he exists. But I also acknowledge that he needs to get built up. You need to have your HP on a specific restriction. The amount of times I have been one-shotted by because I had 17 floating, or because he just took a super, and I didn't have a lower amount of HP, but he was still built up. I refuse to put him on the top 10. I refuse. Personally, I refuse. And I have to mention Khalifa. Tech Khalifa got a crazy EZA, and it is very good, but she still feels like she's very restrictive to the point of where she has to be on a Peppy Gals team, or she has to be on a Universe 6 team, and it's not really any in-between. You can throw her onto teams based on who you're fighting, but if you're not fighting a pure Saiyan or a Universal Survival Saga enemy, then there's no reason to throw her onto the team. She still does very good. She still does very good otherwise, but you bring Khalifa because you want her to auto-dodge, not really any other reason. So, I don't believe that she's a good enough... I don't believe just because Kefla exists that you should bring Khalifa and everything is okie dokie with that rotation. I just don't. Where is Kefla real quick? Let me see what their links are like. Their links in base. They probably have more links in base. Rapid growth, tournament participants, Peppy Gals, super bosses. So the best team you could really rock them on would 100% be on Android 21's team, which she is 200% on. Is Khalifa 200% on there? That might actually be enough, almost. She is not. So Khalifa has no 200% outside of Kale, and that is another part of the reason why is like she's good. She could be better. She could be better. But that is the reason. It's just because she doesn't have a perfect partner. So, but yeah, this is my top 10 list here. I really do feel like there's a huge difference between these three bars right here, S, A, and B. The Gohan and Tech Exchange Boo they are next level. They are 9th anniversary content. That is what these are. Gotenks and Kefla are still very good. I would say they're right on that borderline because that's when they released. It's like right on that border. Well, not Gotenks, but Kefla. Kefla released on that border. It's just that they're very RNG heavy. Like they have to dodge. They have to. There's no choice in that. Gotenks can tank a little bit, especially as long as you've had him super ring consistently for a couple turns. But he can definitely get caught out really quickly. And when you're not hitting Super Saiyan 3 until later in the fight, it's just not, consistent. It's not the same level as Z Sword, Gohan, and Exchange Boo. It's just not the same level. Same thing with Kefla. Kefla does absurd amount of damage. Honestly, more damage than Gohan and the Exchange Boo. But because she's not as reliable, she doesn't have as many team options, that's the issue. It's just RNG with her. She has to dodge, pretty much. And then on the B tier, like this B tier, these super easy A's, man, they need to up it. They need to do better. Because these super easy A's, as of right now, in my personal opinion, that's 8th anniversary level. That's all it is. They brought it up to a level that is acceptable and just barely enough to bring into current content, and it's just a barely point. And I say it's a barely point because they're replaceable. You can definitely replace the Dragon Fist Super Saiyan 3 EZA Goku and Gotenks. You can replace those two. And Vegeta is still very good. I don't feel like people give Vegeta enough credit, the Super Vegeta. He's still very good. Obviously has his weaknesses. Obviously can get caught, just like these other two can. But he's basically on that kind of like, he wants to go into 9th anniversary, but he can be a little inconsistent into a lot of the content. So, but he's still very good, and that's why he's still up there. He's still in a good placement, because he's still very good. He's still very good. All these units are very freaking good, and you can argue them up and down all over the place, but this is just how I feel about them. This is where I feel their placement is, and I don't think I would move it. I don't think I would move it, at least not right now. If another unit came out tomorrow and it was a stupid broken EZA, the only placement I feel it would probably go to is probably in maybe around the 5th part, because I don't see them after getting Z Gohan in Tech Exchange Boo. I don't expect them to make a level that high of a level. I feel like the next one will be good, but maybe not as good. But anyways, I have excessively dragged out the time on this, and it's going to take forever for me to load it. So let me know your opinions on this tier list. It took me a while to really consider the placement of these guys, and I don't blame you if you would flip-flop them in any of these color schemes. I don't blame you whatsoever. Let me know how you would place these differently. I know a bajillion people are going to be commenting, oh, Z-Sword Gohan should be number 1. Okay, that's fine. I'm sorry I have bad RNG, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I want him to have a 200% team on a super team and have all of his links going off reliably. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. But I can definitely see why people put him above Exchange Boo. I can see it. I can see why. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day and a good night.